Some real stuff. What should we be aware of when it comes to our voice and our power as a woman?
Wow, I mean, I think, women are the leaders of everything. And I'm a board member of an organization called Higher Heights for America. It is a organization that was founded by Black women, and it supports women candidates. And they talk all the time about how when a Black woman or a brown woman votes, we take everybody with us. The house, the church, the sorority, folks from college, everybody. The job, everyone goes with us to the polls. Everyone goes with us to the doctor. Everything that we do, when we get educated, we educate everyone else, because that's just sort of how we've been trained. That we don't get to hold on to our experiences and our knowledge and the blessings that we have. And I think that we as women have the unique ability to shape the world. And we know that because when we think about even in the most recent presidential election, 94% of Black women voted for Hillary Clinton, whether we liked her or not. That wasn't relevant to us. It wasn't about liking her. And as a matter of fact, many of us really didn't like her. Under her husband's administration, some of our family members are still locked up, still dealing with the residue, if you will, of what they put us through. And a lot of people say, well, you can't blame a woman for a man's actions. And I agree with that, because husbands don't necessarily listen. But what I will say is that since she has been an elected official herself, she hasn't really done anything to go back and clean up the mess that happened in the 90s. So we do hold her responsible for that. But what we knew was that the current president was not an option. And so we as Black women made a decision to put our personal aside, and not just, don't let people tell you it was just on behalf of Black folks. No, we voted on behalf of America. We voted on behalf of the world. And so we have that power. Whether or not we always use it is a whole different conversation. But we actually do have it. And just as we have the power to make a difference, we also know that 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. So there we are with women, again, using their power. 53% of those who voted. So let me be very clear about that. And so we have the ability to shape the world. And I think that right now, as we go towards another election, our midterm elections, the idea that some of us may be formerly incarcerated and we may say, well, I can't vote, right? You can find somebody that can vote on your behalf. Somebody in your family, some friend, some other person who may not necessarily be encouraged needs to hear your story in these last few weeks. Like, listen, let me tell you what happened to me, and let me explain to you how these particular elected officials will help to cure this issue. So I need you to get registered, and I need you to actually show up on my behalf. And in fact, I will get up and take you to the polls on the day of. I'll walk you and JoJo and Ray Ray and everybody in the community to take you to vote. That's how serious this moment is. And I don't know if people understand, and hopefully we'll talk quickly about how important local elections are and how this moment is actually going to be more important than the presidential election. So we could. The date, the voting date. But do you think that the Republicans are going to do that? Absolutely not, because they want to win. Now you also have in Georgia, we have Stacey Abrams, who is primed to win the governorship there in Georgia. Well, guess what's happening now? She's running against the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is in charge of the voting files. He is in charge of the voting process. Right now it is being reported that he has 53,000 registered voters, newly registered voters, that he is holding their applications because under what we call voter suppression, they passed a bunch of stuff under this idea of voter suppression, which stops people from being able to vote. There's this one provision that says that they want to be able to take your registration card and compare it to IDs and whatever else is in the system, and it has to be an exact match. So if you left off a D from Boulevard, or if you know, anything, they can decide that they're not going to utilize, to allow your voter registration to be processed. So he has 53,000 of those that he's holding right now, and guess how many of them are black people? 70%. 70%. Those are new voters who clearly were encouraged to go and register under Stacey Abrams and because of Stacey Abrams. And moreover, this gentleman's advertisement that he's running is of him teaching his child how to build a wall. The wall is Trump's wall to keep people separated, keep Mexican folks out. So this is what we're up against. This is what's happening, and it is a lot. It's a lot to take on. So people say, well, then what am I supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is we are supposed to live in a perpetual state of fighting. Perpetual state of fighting. Doesn't matter where you come from, what your circumstances are, how you may feel like my voice doesn't count. If in fact your voice and your vote didn't count, they would not create voter suppression. There would be no reason for them to try to stop you from voting if it didn't matter to them whether or not, or if your vote was not powerful. The reason why they create all of these things is because they want to disenfranchise us so that we are not participating in the system. We cannot afford to sit by and be more interested in whether or not Nikki is going to beat Cardi than we are about our rights and our children. Like, we are raising children, and they will be the ones to suffer under what we see happen.
So my question to you,